Before we get started with this review, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to my buddy over at Blacktastic News. Sorry for these little specks here on this shirt. I just took a shower and the water is dripping from my beard. But yeah, he just sent me this t-shirt for blacktastic.net. My buddy over at Blacktastic News. You guys may remember him from some collab reviews we've done here on this channel for Undercover Brother, Rush Hour, and most recently Iron Man 3, and we definitely plan to do a lot more. But yeah, after my last live stream, he hit me up and he said, hey man, I'm gonna send you a t-shirt of mine. So yeah, he's got so many things going on all the social media platforms, on his own website, and over on his YouTube channel, Blacktastic News. So go give him some love. He's got so much great content over there, like movie reviews, discussion videos that celebrate black culture and black artists, and his own documentaries and short films, and a film coming up later this within the next few months. So big thanks to my buddy Blacktastic News. You can find the link to his channel down below in the description box. Just wanted to give him a big shout out. Love the shirt, my friend. Thank you so much. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about none other than Jason X. The time has finally come to talk about the 10th film in the Jason franchise, the Friday the 13th franchise, Jason X, or more commonly known as the one where Jason goes to space. Yeah, it is just as absurd as it sounds. If you guys are even just slightly familiar with this franchise and Jason Voorhees, and maybe you don't know the films all too well, there is indeed a film in the franchise where they chose to take Jason Voorhees, the hockey mask killer, to space, into the future, and it is just as absurd as it sounds. It is one of the most ridiculous films in this entire franchise. It has some of the most ridiculous lines of dialogue and kills in this entire franchise, easily some of the worst special effects in the entire franchise. And is it a good time? Well, kinda, but for the wrong reasons. This is a film that is, for me, a guilty pleasure. It's hilariously bad, and if you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you know that I am a huge fan of really over-the-top cheesy slasher films. That's part of why I like the Child's Play franchise, and a lot of why I enjoy this franchise. You have a lot of forgettable characters and forgettable moments, but you have these really unforgettable moments as far as the cheese and some of the over-the-top kills that this franchise has produced. And this film, in a lot of ways, is no different. However, I easily have to say that this is one of the worst films in the entire franchise. This film is laughable at best, and I really don't even understand what the creative team was thinking about when it came to this movie. So like I mentioned, this film is called Jason X, and it is, you know, essentially saying that it is the 10th film in the franchise. However, this film in no way, shape, or form picks up where the last film left off. If you guys remember from the end of Jason Goes to Hell, if you've seen it, or if you saw my review for it, I talked about the fact that at the very end of Jason Goes to Hell, he is pulled down to hell by these tree demon creatures, and at the very tail end of the film, we get to see this epic moment where Freddy Krueger's glove comes out of the sand, pulling his mask down, and you hear his epic laugh. And fans would have to wait about a decade until we finally got to see Freddy vs. Jason become a reality. And in between the release of Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy vs. Jason, we got another Jason film, which was this one, Jason X, and I really have no idea what they were thinking of and why they chose to do this. This film picks up nowhere close to anything of the previous films. We find Jason essentially held down and captured in this military bunker of sorts, or some sort of scientific place, and they want to run experiments on him. There's a main character introduced to us in this film, played by Lexa Doig, I believe is how I pronounce her name, is D-O-I-G. I have no idea how you would pronounce that other than just saying Doig. If I'm incorrect, feel free to correct me down below in the comments. But yeah, we're introduced to Lexa Doig's character, who wants him to just be killed. She's like, we should not be experimenting on him. He's dangerous, yada yada yada. They want to keep him alive. She doesn't want to keep him alive. All that great weird stuff. So they literally have Jason held in this huge warehouse. Picture a huge warehouse that's entirely empty with like 4 or 5 guards in it, and at the very center of the room, Jason is there, shackled up with chains and all that jazz, and they have a tarp over him. Probably the worst way that you can keep this man down. Literally one of the most notorious killers of all time. He's literally invincible in most cases, and they just choose to have him shackled up in the center of the room. And in some unexplainable way, he somehow breaks out and swaps places with one of the security guards. When they go to find Jason, they take the tarp off, and it's some other guy that Jason has switched places with. So now Jason's on the loose. Lexa Doig's character is like, I told you, he's a maniac, blah, 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 blah. and he ends up getting frozen in cryo freezing, and that's essentially where the movie picks up, and we jump like, I don't know, 100 or so something years into the future, and now Jason has been frozen. These people who come back to Earth, because now Earth is destroyed, come back, they find Jason frozen, as well as Lexa Doig's character, because they both got frozen at the same time, and now we're in the future with Jason. At the beginning of the film, Jason is dead, he's frozen the entire time, and of course when they bring Jason onto their spacecraft, they have nanotech that can resurrect people. Yeah, it's definitely the most convenient thing ever. Of course, this franchise has been filled with convenient things to bring Jason back, but yeah, he's been dead and frozen for the last 100 years or so, probably even more than that. If it's more, I can't remember the exact date that it is in the movie, but it's way into the future. Earth has gone to shit, there's spacecraft travel, it's all over the place. It's like Star Wars meets Jason in a really terrible way. And yeah, they end up bringing Jason back to life by accident, and now Jason gets this new badass metal armor, and he's going around killing everybody on this spacecraft. And one of the people on the spacecraft is actually a cyborg who is just one of the cringiest parts of this movie. There's literally a moment in this film where she starts doing like 10 cartwheels all the way over to Jason, starts fighting him with these badass moves. It's kind of like a blend of like Doom and Star Wars and bad and terrible and laughable and cringe. And yeah, she ends up fighting Jason, and Jason literally punches her head off, just punches her in the head, and her head just flies off. And she's a cyborg, so the head's still talking. And if you're listening to this at all and wondering, what the hell is Anthony talking about? That's what this movie is. This movie is a completely over-the-top, what the hell did they think they were doing with this franchise kind of movie. It picks up nowhere where the last one left off, and really this movie in the lineage of the franchise does not matter.
You guys might want to run.
And after this, we would get Freddy vs. Jason, and then after that, we would get the reboot of Friday the 13th. So in a lot of ways, if you don't count Freddy vs. Jason, because that is his own special like collaboration of these two iconic characters, this is the death of the original timeline or original series of Friday the 13th. It is easily one of the worst in the franchise. It's laughable. I enjoy it on a guilty pleasure level, but yeah, this is just one over-the-top, cheesy, bad film with bad writing, bad acting, and you really don't care about anything or anybody in this film at all as you're watching it. Now, where can I praise this film? I think that the look of Jason when he's all metal, it's not great. We still have Kane Hodder inside the suit. He's one of the more iconic Jasons, or one of the most iconic guys to wear the suit, I mean. And yeah, he definitely still has that really imposing big body. I think he does such a great job as Jason in general. I like the way Jason looks at the beginning of the film before he gets the new metallic suit. I do really enjoy just the overall practical effects and the costume that he has. It looks pretty solid. Once he gets all metallic, there's just something about it that looks so cheesy, because he's got these big padded shoulders and arms, where I feel like Kane Hodder is already big and muscular. They didn't really have to go in that direction, so it's cheesy in the wrong way. I do like how he looked at the beginning of the film though, beforehand, and there are some silly things about this film that I enjoy. For instance, there's a scene where Jason is walking through this hologram room where they can essentially create any sort of hologram. It's essentially a room where they can simulate whatever they want for some sort of test or anything like that, and they end up simulating, while they're trying to get away from him, the area in the room to turn into Camp Crystal Lake. And while he's in there, they end up having two fake hologram women appear that are, of course, naked, and they're kind of just like drawing Jason's attention. And when they cut away from Jason and go back to the main characters and cut back to Jason, he's literally got the two girls inside of sleeping bags, and he's just slamming them around on trees. So this film is self-aware enough to know that it is ridiculous, and it's calling back to jokes from previous films or kills from previous films.
Try it now, Rowan.
Here we go.
It's over the top, it's ridiculous, it doesn't take itself seriously, so on that level I have fun with it because it's such a cheesy film. There are some elements of practical effects that are cool, but man, this is in the early age of CG, but mind you, this is far after films like Terminator 2 or films like Jurassic Park. We had gotten some pretty badass films. This is after The Phantom Menace. We had gotten some pretty great films with some arguably far better CG, and there is some CG in this film that is so bad. Speaking of that same room with simulations, there's a part in the film much earlier where they are simulating some sort of big demon creatures that they're fighting, some sort of big dinosaur monsters, and they are terribly rendered. The CGI is laughable at best. And yeah, on an overall level, is this a film that I could recommend? Only if you're a fan of cheesy horror, if you're a fan of Friday the 13th, or if you're looking to binge this franchise. I think it's definitely a must watch on that level alone. But if you're just looking to watch essential Jason Voorhees films, this is easily one you can skip. It's one of the most laughable films, I think, in horror in general. You can't even really call it horror. There's nothing about the film that is even eerie in any way, shape, or form. And this franchise in general isn't really necessarily terrifying, but there are some films that lean more into the creepier vibes and lean into Jason being a creepier figure. And this film just throws all of that out the window. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my review / rant of this film, just kind of rambling my thoughts on this very unique and very strange installment in the Friday the 13th franchise. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, so leave those comments down below. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more videos. And as usual, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.